I think I've heard you say before, like us spiritual gangsters out there. And I definitely see you as a spiritual gangster. I love your whole vibe. You got the hoodies, you got the chains, you got the beanies going.
Especially during the winter time, I put them things on because it's cold. And yeah, I mean, my aesthetic, it varies throughout the seasons. Sometimes it's very, hood adjacent. And then other times, I can give high femme depending on how I feel. But yeah, definitely that brand is represents for the spiritual G's. I agree with that.
I love it. I love it. I consider myself to be a little bit of a spiritual gangster as well. I feel like I don't come off as that sometimes, but it's like when you get to know me, it's like, hold up now, there's something else there, and there's a whole lot more there, and that is a perfect conversation for you as someone who isn't, their company is based on the dualities of just humanness, right? So talk some about how Duality Click came to be and the name, because I love the name Duality Click. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Duality Click came to be because during the pandemic, and I'm pretty sure a lot of these stories, especially for entrepreneurs, start off kind of like, during the pandemic or during lockdown. But yes, during the pandemic and during lockdown, I had an opportunity to tap into my creative meditative practices more. Before, it was a lot of going and, getting to work, going to events, just very active and very busy, where I didn't have as much time to like sit and focus and center. So when we were on lockdown, it was like, okay, you have nothing but time, and you have nothing but time to process what's happening around you, what's happening inside of you. So how are we going to do that? So I started to lean into my creative outlets more. So I started crocheting more, I started knitting more, I started making more jewelry. And my partner, who is like my number one fan, so supportive, the true MVP, he said, I love what you're doing. And I'm so proud of you. You're making all of this really dope stuff. And he's like, when the world starts to kind of slowly open back up again, like, what is it that you want to do? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm just making cool things because it feels good, And he said, why don't you try doing, one of those markets? You're always, taking me to a market and, supporting small businesses. And he was like, put some of your stuff out there to the community and see how you feel, participating in the markets and, the feedback that you get. So I said, okay. So when the first market happened, after, we slowly started to open back up again, I participated in one downtown, and I was hooked ever since, because I had an opportunity to be in community with folks. I had an opportunity to present the things that I was creating in the way that I wanted to present them without like the pressures of business performance. And then again, I had an opportunity to engage with community, and I had been doing them ever since. And I think that was in like 2021? I think that's when we started to go back outside a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then I haven't stopped since. And so Duality Click came because folks were wanting to buy things online. And I was like, oh, okay. So this might actually be like a thing. So I was like, okay, let me open up an Etsy shop. What can I name it? Just to get something up, because folks were asking me for things and asking me for custom orders. And I thought about, okay, what kind of a name would be a good fit for the type of company that I want to create. And Duality Click came to me because I'm ever evolving. And I don't know if it'll always just be, the focus will always just be jewelry. So I wanted something that gave me space and gave me room and represented embracing all of my multi-passionate kind of ventures. And that's how I came up with Duality Click.